Hello gamers, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dosphere and today I'm going to be doing another Skyrim video. Today I'm going to be trying to beat Skyrim with only the flame spell. Now it turns out that another YouTuber called Nurbit did the same challenge as this, so you guys should go and check out his video later on if you want to. He did the Civil War in the main storyline as well. So let's quickly get the rules out of the way so that we can get straight into the challenge. Rule number 1, I'm only allowed to use the starting flame spell. This is the first spell that you get in the game, so you spawn in with it no matter who you are. I'm not allowed to use any other magic, so that means restoration or, I don't know, conjuration, anything like that. And I'm allowed to use shouts for key parts in the game, like Dragon Rend or any shouts that I need to progress the main storyline, otherwise I wouldn't be able to beat the game. I'll show you guys my skill tree at the end of the playthrough so that you can get an idea of what skills I did and didn't use. Most of these are the passive ones like the armor skills or speech skills. And I also played on expert difficulty because in my last challenge video I thought it was a little bit too easy. I think I played on Adept, which is the one before this difficulty, so this one was a lot more challenging, I would definitely say so, especially fighting the dragons as well. I did no damage at all, so let's get right into it. So, I chose the High Elf race, and let's get straight into Bleakfall's Barrow. So, Bleakfall's Barrow was not too hard. I used a lot of these little trap thingies and the oil to burn a lot of the skeletons, but most of all it wasn't too difficult. But even the Draugr Overlord wasn't too hard. I think this part of the game was actually easier than trying to use the bow. I gave Lucan back his claw, and then I immediately stole it and ran away.
Thank you so much.
I watched a man sleeping.
Need something? Talk to my brother, Elvin.
I met the Jarl, and then I told him two completely different stories. I told him that I was about to be executed, and then I told him Ulfric was, but he didn't really notice. And then we decided to have family game night. I met a man cosplaying as Merlin,
The Dragonstone of Bleakfall's Barrow.
and then I was cyberbullied by an old lady twice.
Don't you go tracking your dirty boots on my clean floor.
Then I was off to slay my first dragon. Now, here is when I realised this challenge would actually be pretty hard, because as you can see here I'm doing little more than tickling the dragon, but all the guards did help me out, and I slowly did get the health down to a point where he eventually got defeated. On my way back to Whiterun I bullied an old man, and then I met Lydia, and I didn't really know what to do with her. She immediately picked a fight with a horse, which I found pretty interesting. I think the horse saw me steal his friend and tried to protect him. Speaking of stealing, so I ride across these guards here, and I get on my horse, and they immediately call me a thief. Like, how do they know that I stole this horse? This could be mine. I do it again, and they report me again. I'm not a thief, it's my horse! It's my horse! Inside High Hrothgar, I sacrificed Lydia to the old man. And then I proceeded to burp on her corpse. And then I put her to sleep in the little cremation pot. And then I ran through the whole of Ustengrav to get the Horn of Jörg and the Windcaller. This was a very interesting little dungeon to do. And I was also still realising how hard this would be. I died a lot of times, but I mainly just ran past all the enemies and hid past the ones that I couldn't defeat. I also waited when I ever wanted to regenerate my magic. This was a good strategy to use because when you're in combat, even though I was a high elf, it still regenerated quite slowly. Back in Riverwood, I had a very strange encounter. So I got the inheritance letter from Lydia, which I wasn't really too fussed about, but then the strange men in masks approached me while I was in this very devastated state. They knew that I was vulnerable and they knew that this was their chance, but they did wait patiently for me to finish my little conversation. They kept saying that I was the imposter and that I wasn't really the dragonborn. I tried to ignore them, but then they came up to me and grabbed me, and then as the one was calling me the imposter again, their friends started cooking me alive like I was a barbecue. Of course, everyone in Riverwood immediately came to my aid and protected me from the crazy people. I got sniped in the head by a fireball, and this scared me quite a bit, so I ran into the trader. When I came out, I was naked and vulnerable, and another courier approached me with another letter of inheritance. The dying, it never ends. I didn't actually check who died though, so anyway, I took this cool outfit. Look how sexy I look now. And then I went off to fight the second dragon. Now this one was definitely harder than the first one because you only get Delphine to help you rather than a little platoon of guards. So naturally I died a few times here. Although after about an hour of failed attempts, I eventually did beat the dragon. I mainly did it by hiding behind trees and using the rocks as cover from the fire. problem with the flame spell is you got to get quite close up to the dragon. This is usually within range of the dragon, so if you can hit it, it can definitely hit you. So I used Delphine as a distraction, and then I'd sneak behind the dragon and do as much damage as I could. After this, I flirted with Malborn for a bit, got harassed by the barman, and then I took his advice to heart and went to get some clothes from this lady here. She said if I went to the Blue Palace, she'd give me a free suit. I said I'd go, I took the suit, and I just ran away. I ran straight to Delphine and showed her my new suit. She wasn't very impressed with it. In the Thalmor embassy, I stole as much food as I could because, trust me, I'd need it. And then I fought my way through. The embassy was very difficult, mainly just because you've got so many enemies coming at you at once. Although I did figure out a little strategy, which was I would come outside, damage them for a bit, and then when I got weak, I'd run inside. Now normally the enemies would follow you in, but they weren't doing that here for some reason. So when I'd run inside, I would sit and wait, and then after I'd regenerated all my health, I'd go back out for round 2. Surprisingly, this strategy worked really well up until I got into the dungeons. When I got inside, I had an epic battle, and for some reason this wizard kept trying to put up a ward spell, even though it clearly wasn't working. But yeah, overall, this part took me 2 tries inside the dungeon, and it took me a couple more tries to figure out the courtyard strategy. Although this definitely wasn't the hardest point in the run. As always, you just got to be a bit more careful in the close quarters. Anyway, in Riften, I got shut down by some weird man, and then I got whistled over like a dog by this stranger in the streets. In Riften, I got attacked by someone called a Huan Black Skeever. I cooked him alive, but then his friend wasn't happy, but I decided to get a haircut mid-battle. Pretty good. I decided to get a buzz cut because, you know, that's the new trend in Skyrim right now. And then I cooked the other guy alive. Although, when I was in the kill cam burning him to death, some random guy ran into the crossfire, blamed me for it, called all his buddies, and I had to run away from the whole Thieves Guild. In the end, it was my barber that got the last laugh. Inside the Warrens, I met some weird veteran. His name was Salvianus. He was very interesting. He's certainly crazy. And then I met another crazy called Hellspeed the Death. She got very intimidated by my gorgeous face and begged me for mercy. And then I introduced myself to Grandpa. On the way out, I had a bit of a strange moment. And I found Uncle Fester and I took his hat, as always. Now I can murder in style. Fighting our way out of the Ratway was a piece of cake, although something crazy did happen with one of the Thalmor. So they chased me down this hole, and then they brought down this weird explosion and I nearly got blown up. I made fun of this weird guy, the one that, you know, tried to kill me earlier. I said that his name was hilarious. I sat and admired myself while Grandpa and Delphine discussed the strategy of chess or something. Then I set off to Cloud Ruler Temple. On the road, I met some Thalmor Judicitors. I talked to them to figure out who they were, and even though I was at high elf as well, they were still quite mean to me. They told me how they were fascist, and then they asked me if I believed in Talos. I obviously admitted to it because, you know, you gotta believe in Talos. And according to their standards, this crime is punishable by death. Cloud Ruler Temple was very easy. I just ran past all the enemies and solved the puzzles. And then Grandpa decided to tell me some more history about World War II or something. I didn't really pay attention. And then I set off to Blackreach. Some weird fugitive approached me and tried to give me something. I wasn't really sure what to do here. I was going to kill him, but then I decided not to. And then his little compadre approached me. And he still didn't see the fugitive, even though he was right in front of me. So I just got out of that situation as fast as I could. Inside Blackreach, I used a lot of the traps to fight the enemies, which I think that's fine. I don't think that's violating the rules, really. It's more like second-hand murder. And then I did some awesome parkour to get around the traps and defences in the Thalmor. And then I ran straight past the Dwarven Centurion. For some reason the lift door wasn't locked. I don't know if that's a glitch or if it's just been like that forever, but I didn't question it. And then I ran through Blackreach, avoiding all the enemies. And then I grabbed the Elder Scroll and used it to learn how to defeat Elduin. Now next up is the hardest part of the whole challenge. See, the flame spell here was practically ineffective against Alduin, so I did have to use Dragon Rend a lot, and I did use it in some places where I didn't have to, but I was using Dragon Rend here to stun Alduin, to get a window to use my flame spell, because if I was just set on fire for a split second, he would kill me. And you got to remember that I can't use any restoration spells here, so I used my food and potions, but they ran out fairly quickly, so I was just having to hide and naturally regenerate health. Overall, I was on this part for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and maybe 5 failed attempts, although I was quick saving a lot here, and in the end I did beat him. After my epic battle with Alduin, I committed a hate crime on a Dark Elf.
Are you here to bully us? Then we have nothing more to talk about.
And then I had one of the most boring peace conferences of my life. I'll skip past all of this because it's, not very interesting. Whilst we were trying to trap the dragon in Dragon's Reach, I had a bit of a close call.
That's no mistake. You're a wanted man, and it's time to pay for your crimes.
And then I prepared to head to Skuldafn for the final battle. Trapping the dragon was very easy, and before I knew it, I was in Skuldafn in the final part of the game. Now, I didn't bring as much food as I probably should have done here. Same with potions. I did try to buy as much as I could though before the final battle. As you can see, I was struggling a bit to fight some of these Draugr, but I did get through them in the end, mainly by running past everything. At this point in the game, my destruction was around level 30, so I was being a lot more efficient with the magic that I was using, which means I could cast flames for a lot longer. Although this was kind of countered out by the higher level enemies that I was having to face. I used a lot of traps to get past some of the stronger enemies, like this Draugr Overlord here. And then I ran past the Dragon Priest and got into Sovngarde to defeat Alduin. Now in Sovngarde, I found High King Torygg. I didn't know that you could actually find him. I knew who he was. I know, the one that Ulfric killed at the start. But I didn't know you could actually find him in Sovngarde, which is kind of cool. The Tall Gentleman was pretty easy as well. He's quite slow and dumb, so all you have to do is just get some height advantage on him and keep your distance and you'll be fine. He ran away from me and then he chased me. He whacked me and did half my health. Very scary man. And then I entered the Hall of Valor. I posed for a while, and then me and the Nordic heroes rallied up out front to face Alduin for one last time. Now, as you always know, this final battle with Alduin is definitely not as hard as the one where you only have yourself and Paarthurnax, although it still was difficult because Alduin just melts through the hero's health, and a lot of the times it was just me fighting Alduin. And not to mention, these boulders that come from the sky are very, very, very dangerous when you're on this difficulty too. They'll just kill me in maybe 2 hits. And bear in mind I was probably level 4 in this final battle, which is pretty crazy. So I had to constantly move to avoid the fireballs, because if one of them would have hit me, it would have blown me to bits. If Alduin ever did focus on me, I would hide behind a rock to avoid his fire, and I'd use Dragon Rend to constantly interrupt his attacks to give the other heroes some windows to attack. I beat this battle on my first try. It took me maybe about 30 minutes to do, so definitely a lot easier than the first time. I got the final hit in, and I defeated Alduin using only the flame spell. And there it is. Can you beat Skyrim as a human flamethrower? The challenge was a lot of fun to do. It was definitely harder than the bow only challenge, especially because I pumped that difficulty up. But with the higher difficulty, it did feel a lot more well-deserved at the end and a lot more satisfying. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. This one did take quite a while to make, so I would appreciate if you guys could like and subscribe if you want to see more. And leave a comment if you have any ideas of what I should do next. I'm thinking my next video might be a different game as well. Or I might do a more commentary style video, I'm not sure just yet. But stick around and let me know what you think. I hope you guys all enjoyed anyway, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.